This is Successfully Retired with Hamilton Brandenburg. Okay, Rick. So one question that I know you have had a lot, and I've had a lot of times, and this is the one that you a lot of times get at the barbecue, right? You're sitting around grilling, and there's the other 30-something-year-old dads there, and hey, man, we have a kid, or we got a kid on the way. Should we open like a college savings account for them? Like, what kind of account should we open for them?
Yep.
That is a fun little conversation that, to me, led to I did record a podcast episode on it, but there's a lot of different account types. If you want to save for junior, there's a lot of different ways you can do that.
Yeah.
And what determines which one you're going to pick, I think, really comes down to how much control and flexibility you want, as well as a little bit of taxes per usual, because we like to talk about taxes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we just dive into and talk about the pros and cons of different account types for saving for your kids' future, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. It's complex, in my opinion. It's something that I go back on. I know we've talked offline about a lot, and I kind of wanted to open it up again because recently with the big, beautiful bill, some of those things have changed for the better. And it's maybe changing a little bit or molding how I look at things and how I might start working with my clients.
Same. So let's start with that. Let's talk, because I think I was going to save 529s for last, but I think we should talk about them first.
Yeah.
So what's a 529 plan?
Yeah,
and
the 529 is
what they are now.
The 529 is the one that everybody thinks about and looks up when they put in like saving money for my kid or my grandkids' college.
Yes.
The Google search is all 529s. And the short version is they're an account type that allows you to put money in for the beneficiary, which is the minor child, to be used later for accredited tuition is the way it used to be.
Yeah. It used to be like qualified expenses, which were pretty much tuition for college.
Yeah.
And maybe some fees for college.
Yes.
But there was a lot of stuff you could not spend on.
It was not very flexible. The benefit to you is you put the dollar in, the dollar grows to $2. You use it for the right thing. You don't pay any tax on that growth.
Yes. And we would see a lot of people get these 529 plans and they didn't use it all, or they didn't use it at all. And like, well, what do I do with this now? There's like 4 things that are eligible expenses. And I didn't use any of those. So they just cash it out. And when you do that, you get back the money you put into it tax-free, but anything that's grown is hit at your highest marginal tax bracket plus a penalty. So
it's actually
losing half the money they feel like.
Right. And so this is the conversation. Everybody that came to me, this is the conversation I would have with them is I don't like 529s for the reason you just said.
Yep.
Jimmy's 4 and he's still eating glue. So like, we're not sure if he's going to Penn State yet or not. Right. So
I mean, if he's eating glue, he's probably good for Penn State.
Okay, that's fair. Let's just pump the brakes a little bit. What do we really want? We really want to save money for junior, not necessarily that's going to go directly to college, especially because college is so damn expensive. Yeah. What you're going to spend or save over those years is likely a drop in the bucket. And so it doesn't really have to be earmarked for college.
Yes.
Right. This is the conversation I used to have before things recently changed. What I would always go to is a gift to minors account. We call them UTMA in Pennsylvania. They can be UGMA other places. You can Google search that. But essentially all that is a taxable brokerage account in a minor's name. Excuse me. And then the parent or the grandparent is the custodian of that account. They're in charge.
Yep.
The advantage to that is, as long as it's for the benefit of the child, you can use that money for whatever the hell you want. And the tax savings comes in because the 529 is going to save us a bunch of taxes. The tax savings come in, and I'm not going to go super deep in the weeds about it, but essentially kids have different tax rules. Minors have different tax rules than adults. So if you do it correctly, which it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. It's like always done correctly, right?
I do it for my clients but it is a time suck and it's a pain in the ass because basically what I'm doing is tax gain harvesting to a certain level every single year so that that kid claims taxes, but not so much that they pay taxes.
Yeah.
So essentially what happens is, fast forward 20 years, they have this bucket of money that all of the taxable gains have been accounted for, but you paid little to no dollars in actual taxes on. You can use the money for wherever the hell you want.
Well,
That's,
two things to say about that. One, you are the exception for
I
doing
know.
it right, because Bob, the stockbroker in the high rise, I promise you, yeah, he doesn't care about that account.
No, so he's just creating a big bucket of capital gains, which
Yeah.
still might be okay if the kid doesn't have a high paying job when they want to
Yeah.
use the money. But still, I go the extra mile to do all that, and it is it should be an added expense for the amount of time that I put into it. It's not, but
Time to raise your fees.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say about that, a drawback, and one of the reasons why, okay, and I try not to steer the client towards here's what Hamilton would do, but it's hard not to do because I am Hamilton.
Yeah.
You know, depending on your state laws, either at 18, usually 18 or 21. In Georgia at 18,
Yeah.
that minor is allowed to have custody of that money.
21
and at 21,
here.
they have to. You have to sign that over to them at 21. So back to Johnny eating glue, good enough for Penn State, good enough for UGA probably. We don't know for sure if he's going to college. Well, do we really know that he's ready to have, $30,000, $40,000 at 21 years old? Maybe,
Right.
maybe not. I mean, a lot of people are, but a lot of people are also not. So one of the things that I have done for a lot of clients is, if they're concerned about stuff like that, or if they just want more control, they want to be able to decide their timetable for when do we give this money to the kid, is we'll just do a joint account in mom and dad's name.
Yeah.
And the money belongs to mom and dad. Mom and dad pay taxes on the interest or whatever, but it becomes the kids whenever the hell mom and dad decide to give it to them. So that could be at 15. That could be, start a lawn care business. That could be for college tuition. It could be dual purposed, but it gives them more control.
Yeah. And and here's the thing. For people listening, I'm going to get back to 529 because it did change. And that's kind of what prompted this, but that's my favorite. Okay. Is just taxable brokerage account, mom and dad's name. And
that's what I do.
There's two different ways to do it. You're talking about actually like earmarking an account for Johnny.
Sure.
I say mom and dad.
Yeah.
Saving your 401k, here's your Roth, all that sort of stuff. We need to be saving in a taxable brokerage account anyways.
Yep.
The amount at which you can help Johnny when he's 18 or 21 or whatever it is going to be dependent on how financially free or successful you are.
Yes.
So I really don't care whose name those dollars are in. If you just have one big account and you're now 58 and Johnny's getting ready to go to college, you can then choose of how much of that one big account that's you and your wife's money you get to gift to him, right? Like, yes. I don't know why it has to be. The reason why it starts to need to be earmarked is if you get money from like grandparents and birthdays and stuff.
Yeah.
I get that, but it just never is enough that it matters.
Agree. I do a joint account for Katie and I. It's funny you say that. I had a client last year and I had the same conversation with him because their kid's getting ready. He's going to college now. And so they have a 529. Grandma helps do some of that. Hey, Hamilton. And so I did the same walkthrough. They like the joint account idea, which they already have a joint account. And I was like, do you want us to have like specifically earmarked account just for Johnny? And and the wife was like, please not another account. Please. Can we just do it in our joint account? Like, are we allowed to just do it in our joint account? I was like, yes, that makes my life easier.
Yeah.
And whatever you don't spend for his college, that's for your retirement.
Yeah. Unless it's, and this is where the 529s and the minor UTMA accounts come in, is when it's not mom and dad's money.
Sure.
If it's getting gifted from and it's significant, not $20 in a birthday card, but it's significant enough where you don't feel comfortable commingling it with your own money. Sure. It's really for Johnny and you want to keep it separate. That's when you go, in my opinion, that's when you go and have a strong conversation and pros and cons versus the gift to minors account, the UTMA versus the 529. If it's mom and dad's money primarily versus a couple 5s and 10s and birthday cards. Make your life easier. Put it in a brokerage account. Save it with all of your own money. Blow it up, and then feel how much or how little you can afford or want to help him when that time comes. Because also, if he wants to, start a food truck instead of go to college, you don't have to worry about taxes and this isn't qualified and all other BS. You just give him the money if you want to support him.
We're just glad he's not eating glue anymore.
If he gives you a good business plan, give him the money. So let's just say, okay, mom and dad say that's great, but grandparents really want to, like, I actually have some UTMA accounts that the grandparents are the custodian. They're putting like legitimate money and they don't want to commingle it with the parents.
Sure.
So it has to be 529 or it has to be UTMA. For what we talked about before, it's right now UTMA. With the rules changing slightly for 529s, I'm considering going that way. The rule changes are this, in a nutshell. Excuse me. The big beautiful bill that just came out allows for, we won't line item it, but essentially it allows for a lot more flexibility. It allows for a lot more flexibility for the 529.
Big time.
So now it's not just tuition. You can do fees, books, vocational schools, which was always a big thing for me. I said, what if he wants to be a welder? He'd make $120,000 welding pipe, but he's not going to be able to use his 529, right? So there's a lot more flexibility in how you use it. It still has to be educational based, but there's a lot more flexibility. The other thing that is starting to get me a little bit leaning that way is Secure Act 2.0 in 2024 says, which was the other thing that I just beat 529s up about, is what if they never go to college? Now we're saying if Johnny doesn't go to college, he can use the money, and there's limitations that we won't waste your time on, but essentially you can use the money that's in that 529 to make Roth IRA contributions in his name with certain limitations. And so now you're essentially turning that into,
you got a way out of it now. You have a door out of it where
you have a way out that's
without paying
that's sort of attractive.
Sure.
And so what do you think about that? Like I was no 529s, like that was me. And now that these two things have come up recently, I'm rethinking that. Do you think that I should, like, what do you think about it? Do you think that I should still keep, tax gain harvesting UTMAs and doing it that way?
No, I think there's a spot for it. I mean, I definitely do. And, you gotta know everybody's situation. I'll tell you this. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'm kind of a 529 hater. I don't know if you call yourself an account type hater. I think that they're overhyped, and I think that I like control and flexibility. Shocker.
Yeah.
I work for myself and like flexibility. But I actually opened up 2 529 accounts this week for my 2 oldest kids are doing a hybrid homeschooling program, which is technically a private school. Yeah. So in Georgia's 529 planning, so most states have, I think there's like 49 state plans. Yeah. So every state has different rules, but like in Georgia's, money going into Georgia's plan up to $8,000 for a married couple per kid, per beneficiary, is tax deductible for Georgia state income tax. So that's like 5.25%. Okay. That's deductible on tuition that I'm going to be paying anyway, and school expenses that I'm going to be paying for anyway. I put it in, tax deductible. Even if I'm not investing it, I can literally send a check to the school. Send a check to the school for their tuition every month from that account, federally income tax free. Yeah. So it's going in tax deductible. It's coming out tax free for things that I'd have to spend money on anyway. Yeah. So it's just saving me. It's just similar
to having a health savings account.
Yes.
And using it as a pass through. But up until recently, you wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
Right. You wouldn't have been able to do that. You would have had to use that money for college.
Yes.
Not for the private school and the homeschooling and all that, so you weren't be able to do that. And now that has changed. So that's the flexibility there. You did mention something about being state specific, and that's another, it's one of the things that's still hanging me up is the actual accounts.
Yes.
As it is right now, I can't title an account on my platform a 529 like I could a joint or an IRA or Roth and invest it the way I want. I have to do it through this state plan. That's not super attractive to me because I can't control the investments the way I want to. I want to. And they're also often, because of that, a lot higher in fees.
Yes.
So is the trade-off worth it to go down that route and have maybe an account at a different custodian and have maybe higher internal fees and less investment flexibility to be able to then, maybe the intention is to have it be a Roth and never use it for college. Yeah. Like, what if I started a Roth for Jimmy, for my grandson or whatever? Like, is that trade-off worth it, or is that still not worth the squeeze and I should be just sticking with the UTMAs and the taxable brokerage accounts?
That is a thing that has definitely swayed some of my clients' opinions. And like, there've been some people I'm like, hey, I think you should open the Georgia Path to College plan because you're in a high tax bracket. You know, you pay a lot in taxes and it's going to save you 5% on Georgia. And they're like, oh, sweet. Can you do that for me? I'm like, no, I can't. Yeah. Now, Georgia, you can go on as the advisor. A lot of these states, you can go on as the advisor of record. It's not easy to do. I tried to do it for myself, for my own 529. I opened up for my kid. And like 3 months later, they sent me a letter and they're like, you didn't sign one spot. So not in my experience, it's not easy for an advisor to manage these kinds of accounts.
Yep.
You probably need to be a little more savvy. And some of my clients who have been like, oh, I have to do all that. You know what? Forget the 5% tax savings. Will you just do this for me?
Correct.
Which to me, I'm like, 5% tax savings. But I get it. I get it. It's
no, but that's an issue. I don't know. Do you know why that is? Like, why can't it just be an account title no different than a Roth or anything else? Like, I don't think it really understand
the fact that every state has their own laws regarding them. So they all have state sponsored plans that have to align with the laws. So I think that's why you can't.
How is that? But how is that different than every state having their own income tax laws and we all still get paid the same way? And
I don't know.
You just file it at the end. Like, if I take money out of the plan, I still have to file it on my tax return. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. It's
somebody's getting a kickback somewhere, I think, maybe.
Yeah. It's one of those things when we burn down the 80,000 page tax code, I'm coming for 529s. Whatever.
But well, let's cap it like this. In my opinion, if the money is coming from mom and dad, keep it simple. Almost always, unless there's some kind of disability or issue like that elsewhere, keep it in a taxable brokerage. Here's the other thing about the UTMAs, that the one drawback besides the work is if enough money gets in there, it could affect financial aid when the kid does go to college. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so keep the money in mom and dad's name when you can. Focus on investing as much as you can, investing tax efficiently, and knowing that you're going to be in a better financial situation 18 years from now, and you should be able to afford to help your kid with money out of your name.
Yep.
If the money, and it's significant, it's not just $20 and a birthday card, but the money's coming from an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent. And this is the only UTMAs that I have is like grandparents are putting $5,000 a year in, or aunt and uncle that don't have their own kids are like helping fund their, okay, we can't commingle. Outside of that, then that's when you look at if the money's technically being gifted from a non-parent, that's when I think it gets serious about, let's look at the 529 or the minor UTMA account and decide between there based on what you value more, the flexibility, the future tax savings and Roths and all that sort of stuff. And then have that discussion with somebody that knows what they're talking about. But Don't just default to the 529 because when you Google saving for college, that's what comes up.
Yep, 100%.
It's a little bit more complex than that.
100%. Good place to stop it. All right, clear as mud.
All right, how about it? All right, buddy.
This show reflects the personal opinions and viewpoints of myself, Hamilton Brandenburg, and my guests. Opinions and viewpoints are subject to change at any time without notice. No representation is made as to the accuracy, completeness, or relevance of the information presented. The information discussed is general in nature and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice, so consult with your tax, legal, and financial professionals about your specific situation. Past performance does not indicate future returns, and any indices mentioned are for reference and cannot be invested in directly. Brandenburg Financial Services is a DBA of CS Planning, an SEC-registered investment advisor.